Hello, Senior Stoner fans. It's the real Senior Stoner back at you for your Puffco Proxy Diamond Dab of the Day. Hello, everybody. As always, if you enjoy today's video, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, send a like, and I reply to all the comments. Let's get started with today's topic. Always, I build these things out of my life. How many people out there feel overwhelmed sometimes? Put it this way. How many people out there, probably everyone, has felt overwhelmed at some point in their life? Well, you know what? How do we manage overwhelming feelings? At some point, it's going to happen. So, it's called a tipping point. It's like the brain blows a fuse. People find themselves mindlessly clicking a retractable pen for minutes at a time, scrolling through documents without reading them. Even if their minds tell them they need to check off everything on their to-do list, they're paralyzed by indecision. The brain's power grid is overloaded. So as a result, it's like the summer in the city when everyone is running the air conditioners at once. The lights flicker, then they go out. Well, if it sounds familiar, functioning is not so simple when you're overwhelmed. It may seem silly. Why would you let a to-do list hijack your brain? But it's pretty simple. Your brain doesn't just see a to-do list. The brain sees the threat of scarcity, not enough time. Not enough time to fit everything into the 24 hours. Or it sees the threat of failing, the threat of disappointing others, the threat of feeling like you're not doing enough. Well, we react to these feelings the same way we do to other threats. Flight, fight, or freeze. That's true whether the threat is a bus coming towards us or a to-do list that makes us feel like we can't catch our breath. Usually, people land somewhere between freeze and flight, which shows up as procrastination. But not all procrastination looks the same. It can take a more or less productive form, from binge-watching TV shows to doing tasks that don't matter to scrolling through Twitter. Again. So what can we do if we're overwhelmed, if we're paralyzed or procrastinating? After we've worked our way through the classic trifecta of go for a walk, take the breaths, approach the mess with gratitude, all the things we talked about, but they're not working. Well, maybe then we can try some other things. Try grounding ourselves in the present using a 5-4-3-2-1 technique. It's a mindfulness technique and doesn't require special space or tools, but you need your 5 senses. Here's how we would walk our way through doing it. 5, look around and name 5 things you can see right now from where you are. 4, listen and name 4 things you can hear. 3, notice 3 things you can touch, like the pages of a nearby book or the feeling of your feet on the carpet. 2, next comes 2 smells. Breathe in the pages of a book or the citrus scent of a candle that you light. Finally, name something you can taste. A sip of cold water even does. Even just the taste of your own mouth. This does not 1, but 2 things to interrupt the overwhelm. First, it grounds us in senses, and more importantly, the present moment. Second, keeping track of the counting and working your way through senses interrupts spinning thoughts. It's a mini moment of mindfulness to pull us out of the fray. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It makes a lot of sense. We need to clean up our immediate surroundings. The phrase outer order, inner calm is popular for a reason. When you're feeling overwhelmed, tidying the area around you restores order to a little corner of your universe and allows you to move forward in small steps. Now, this is not going crazy with your Electrolux in your office. Restrict yourself to things maybe that are within arm's reach. Stack your dab things. Put your tools in order. It'll feel like you accomplished something and you can focus on the next task at hand. Remember, minimize the clutter and ruthlessly prioritize. That's right. Cut everything that should be done and stick to things that need to get done right now. Stop accidentally multitasking. We know multitasking isn't really a thing that it doesn't and that it doesn't work. Our brains aren't designed to do 2 or 3 tasks at once. Instead, we end up moving back and forth among our various tasks, leaving us with the mental equivalent of whiplash and getting little done in reality. Unintentional multitasking counts too. Trying to work from home and simultaneously keeping an eye on the kids. Holding a conversation while the TV's on. Eating lunch at our desks. Leaving your email open while you work. On and on and on. Multitasking works about as well as texting while driving. Which is to say, don't do it. Shuggy, stop it. Thank you. She's scratching the carpet. When you're feeling less frantic, you can go back to Googling the results of other things that you're interested in. But until then, single task, single task, single task when you're feeling overwhelmed. And take that next tiny little step. When you feel frozen in the proverbial headlights of your task, think only of the next tiny step. The next step can be ridiculously small. Only you have to know that you're inching forward by thinking, okay, now click on the folder. Now open the folder. Now open the document. Now start reading. Follow our impulses. When we're working on something less than fun, it's easy to get distracted by every little thing. Well, have we ever sung a song in our head and had the urge to pull it up on the music? Amazon Music? Well, we remember that we promised that we'd make pizza tonight, and we find ourselves scrolling for recipes hours before a major work deadline. So instead of following every little impulse in our brain, which can pull us into the vortex of procrastination, keep a sticky note. And you'll remember exactly what you need to do. You see, just unload the thought, even if you don't follow through on the impulse to find the answer to whatever question it is you have. You'll feel extra confident. Rather than writing it down, just think it. Sometimes just acknowledging the impulse is enough to make it go away. And by golly, we need to rethink our to-do lists. Keeping a to-do list is the most important lesson from Organization 101. But if you're overwhelmed, looking at a long list of tasks can be daunting. So it's time to do a to-do list makeover. There are thousands of ways to bring more order to a long string of tasks. For one, chunk like with like. Put all your phone calls together, all your writing tasks together. Chunking makes a long list more cohesive, more efficient, and by extension, less overwhelming. Another method might be write out your list in accordance with your schedule. Plan big projects for the morning when you have the most energy and focus, and schedule the brainless tasks for the 3 p.m. slump. Radically accept what you cannot do or cannot control. The Serenity Prayer. We can strategize, organize, and hack all we want, but at some point we're going to run into something we can't do or control. When we do, the only thing to do is radically accept it. Radical acceptance doesn't mean throwing in the towel. It means allowing for uncertainty and uncontrollability without struggle or complaint, and keeping on with what you can do instead of dwelling on what you can't. When we get behind the wheel, we radically accept that a reckless driver may hit us no matter how well we drive, but we still do it because you want to get from point A to point B. When you fall in love, you radically accept that your heart may get trampled on, yet you do it anyway, because love is worth the risk. When you simply can't meet a deadline without compromising your mental health, you radically accept that you'll have to be late and that you may disappoint someone, because guess what? Your own well-being is worth it. This has been the Real Senior Stoner talking about how we handle overwhelming situations. We can get overwhelmed all the time. It happens to everyone at some time or another in their life. So I hope some of these tips and tricks will help everyone when they hit their overwhelm. Let's take our Puffco Proxy hit and roll up our sleeves for a dab of the day. And thanks for joining me, as always, everybody, the Real Senior Stoner. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for being here today. Don't forget to send a like, a comment, and subscribe if you haven't, and tell all your friends to subscribe and join the Senior Stoner family. We're about to get on the dab train. Thanks for joining the Real Senior Stoner for the Puffco Proxy Diamond Dab of the Day. Here we go, everybody. Cheers. Tasty. Thanks again, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Pleasure seeing everybody today. Remember, you can handle any overwhelming situation. Cheers.